I knew we all thought Barcelona were going to come into this game all guns blazing, but that was a bit much.
I did not expect that from Bayern. Honestly, I expected so much more, especially from Georgia Stanway and Caruso in that midfield. I thought they'd be able to do a little bit more against Barcelona's awesome trio. But they didn't come out to play today. And when the first goal comes and second goal, third goal conceded, they just gave up.
They did. And you saw it in the sixth or seventh goal, whichever one was the transition goal that Barcelona was able to score.
So many.
No, I really did. I don't know which one it was because, you saw it in that. Barcelona goes on a transition and Bayern isn't tracking back. There's not every single person on that field is on a sprint. Granted, you're down how many goals, but at that point, that's about pride.
That's about trying to stop the bleeding.
Exactly. You have to. And if I was any of those players who were behind the ball on that, I would be fuming about the rest of my team not getting back. But to me, that goal and what happened and how Bayern looked on that goal in terms of their recovery was the definition of their game today. And it's unacceptable if I'm Bayern.
Oh, I'm wondering even what their game plan was in this, because with Barcelona, you either have to be pressing, suffocating, make them have to adjust their build out. Leave it to a transition, you can recover, or sit into a low block. If you're not going to be a team that compete in possession, which there's probably maybe one other team in the world that can, sit off of them. And they looked caught between two worlds, and Barcelona absolutely alleviated any concerns we had about them in this tournament.
Yeah, I agree with you. They didn't decide. It wasn't clear what their game plan was, and also like when you look at all of their faces, they're just like they all look defeated,
yeah.
And there wasn't one player out there leading the team. And it's when you're down so many goals, you need somebody to lead the team to change that energy. And also consider this is a long tournament. Like goals matter, goal differentials matter. And they're going to be really upset about this match looking forward into this tournament.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is that it doesn't, okay, 4-1. That's better than 7-1. You know, you have to think big picture long term. Yes, you had a bad game, but don't let it become a terrible potentially season-ending game for them from right out of the jump.
Well, that's where even managerial-wise, the tactics of why are you still trying to be stretched and these massive gaps between the lines, and Barcelona can already play when it's very tight. They're going to be able to break you down. Why wasn't there an adjustment earlier on? No one's helping the team out, and you're right. I think they were really missing Vanessa Gilles in the back line to try to lead them.
Vanessa, or at least, where are you?
Come on, Vanessa, come back. Yeah. But at least to get something off of a set piece, there wasn't anything that felt threatening.
Bayern's a good team. They have really good players on their team. So to see Barcelona basically say, we're just going to have our way. Like there's nothing you can do that is going to stop us. And it's just, I can't stop laughing, honestly. I'm surprised that we have a 7-1 scoreline from this first game between these two teams.
Yeah, Barcelona just hammered them. I mean, 21 shots, 12 on target. And I think what we saw in that goal that you're referring to, where no one's tracking back, no one's really taking responsibility, they looked exhausted. I mean, especially when you're playing a team that has dominant possession, you are constantly late, you're constantly tracking, you're trying to cover for each other. It just looked like they lost the spirit of the game in this. And Bayern's been my dark horse. You know what? Goal differential is really tough, but I think they can come back. Yeah, they're still my dark horse. I think that they're going to be able to come back. The league phase, I think, gives a little bit of that wiggle room in a way. The 7 goals is brutal. They need to show out in the next few games. They have a rough schedule, but this is a team that I think when they get their players back and healthy, Vanessa Gilles focusing on set piece, fixing their tactics, that's what let them down today in the first half. It was their tactics. I'm going to say they can come back from it.
Sometimes you need a punch in the face like this to have a bounce back, to have a wake-up call. This happens, it can happen in an international tournament, right? You open your group stage and you lose if you're expected to win. Not that Bayern was expected to win today, but you have a bad loss. And a lot of people think, you lose your first game of a major tournament and it might be over. But in reality, it's exactly the wake-up call that the team needs to say, all right, what are we doing? How do we fix this? How do we want to go forward? And maybe that will be the case for Bayern. But my concern is, for you guys that have chosen them as your dark horse, which I thought about it, and I'm glad I didn't. But to have them as your dark horse, it's tough because how do you bet? They're going to have to claw their way back in goal differential, in my opinion.
I think for Bayern is how do you make such a drastic shift? You need a leader on the team. And we've seen what Georgia Stanway can do in the Bundesliga. And I think she's great. When she's in the top of her game, everything goes to her offensively and defensively. But if she or somebody doesn't step up into that role, they're really going to struggle. But I think this is where Vanessa Gilles can come into play and be that energy that they need, be that positivity that they're going to need going forward. Because we all know it's very difficult to lose 7-1 and then look forward to your next game. It's like, oh man, I got to play again. Like it's hard. But if you have that capacity to switch and be resilient, you can come back and make a difference.
I think another player we didn't get to talk about because she was hardly on the ball tonight, but is Pernille Harder.
She was non-existent.
Non-existent because her team didn't have possession of the ball. The way she's going to be able to affect the game, make Barcelona have to adjust, have to defend, go 1v1 is when you get her in those spaces and she has opportunities. And they didn't have that tonight. And so, yes, I think the leadership, yes, I think there's a lot that needs to change. They need to score a lot of goals moving forward. But it's really coming down to the tactics, because how would you feel confident? How do you even get on the ball when they don't match what the game plan is asking for?
Bayern scored 1 goal tonight, goal scorer being Klara Bühl. Here's what she had to say after the game.
Was there anything tonight from Barcelona that you hadn't seen before, hadn't prepared for? Or is this the kind of game that you thought you would get?
Yeah, I think we thought that the game will look like that. Of course, it was really hard. We thought that we could have maybe a bit more the ball, that we had our own actions to get to the goal, to get some chances. But yeah, I think this night it's really, really tough. They played a great game. They created a lot of chances, and we were just, a bit passive. Every time we were too late. I think this was one, thing that we were not good enough.
Can I ask, when you say a bit passive, do you often play rivals with that speed of movement of the ball and coordination? Because I suspect probably Bayern doesn't play that often. Yeah,
that's true. I think this is Champions League, and that's the good thing about it, that you have opponents. They're great. They're at the highest level, and of course we want to play these games, but in a different way. But I think that's why we have to reflect on it. We have to take the right solutions out of it, and then prepare for the next game and show a different face.
But Bayern scored. Was it a sweet moment for you?
Yeah, it was cool. I think we get a bit fresh air with the goal. We hoped for maybe a second chance for a second goal before halftime, but of course it is difficult in Champions League. It is difficult against those opponents. This is stuff we know, and I think if we want to compete with them, we have to step up, and this is what we want to do in the next game.
We appreciate you speaking to UEFA. Good luck next game.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clara.
Klara Bühl, only goal scorer. What were your thoughts on her interview?
She said they were a bit passive.
Yeah.
They were really passive the entire game.
I mean, what a way to handle that interview after a 7-1 loss. I don't think I would be that graceful. I don't think I would have been that graceful, let alone done it. But yeah, passive was a very nice way to say they didn't show up today against Barcelona when you expect Barcelona to come out that way.